Welcome to the part 2 of the series Are We the Ancestors Our Children Deserve? In this series, we are going to have some uncomfortable questions and data as part 2 of the series. We are going to talk about why the so called most assertive and highly effective communicators or speakers among the following professions like management, advocates, teachers, or professors, journalists, and politicians. All of them ought to be very effective speakers to be successful in their in their chosen field. Yet, even after retirement, they chose to be silent. Why? This is the data. We have got in India about 25 million management professionals, meaning those who are actually managing things. We have got advocates of various types and in various courts 2.01 million. We have got teachers and professors. This number is 1.17 crore. We have got journalists, which are about 2 lakhs, and we have got politicians, which are 3.2 billion. They are elected politicians, and we are talking about. If all of them, at least 1% of them, started speaking facts, giving constructive criticism about the government, things would have really improved a lot. Let us dig deeper into this data. What are the reasons for being passive? Management professionals will have a reason to be silent basically because of corporate interests, fear of jeopardizing current or future board seats, consultancies, or government contracts for their firms. They prioritize economic stability over social friction. Advocates, they have their own judicial aspirations. Many senior lawyers remain silent to keep doors open for post retirement appointments to tribunals, commissions, or as government appointed arbitrators. Teachers and professionals. The reason is institutional dependency. The dependence on government controlled pension funds and cooling of perks. In many states, emeritus status and research grants are tied to political alignment. Journalists, we all know the journals are absolutely driven by vested interest. But let us find out what is their reason. Loss of platform and security. Without the legal and financial shield of media house, retired journalists are vulnerable to defamation suits and trolling, often lacking the resources to fight back. So they remain silent and enjoy their retired life. Politicians. The reason is mutual immunity. A status quo culture where retired politicians avoid criticizing successors to prevent their own past tenures from being investigated or audited by the current regime. This is a sheer quid pro quo. Mind blowing. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? Crisis or no crisis? Why question? Energy crisis is looming large. In India, many restaurants, including the wayside eating joints, are getting closed. Even domestic cooking gas is not available and one has to wait for a long time, either it is 1 month or so. Yet, the chief ministers in this India are yet to order for adopting work from home norm for all the IT companies operating in their states, especially the southern states, which are hosting many number of IT companies headquarters at Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, Cochin, Vishakhapatnam. Yet, no senior citizen is talking in the public fora. And unfortunately, these senior citizens are fathers of daughters and sons who are probably facing this energy crisis in these cities. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? Let us look into more data. There are approximately 1.2 to 1.5 million retired HR professionals in India. Why I have chosen HR profession? Because I being an HR professional for about 3 decades, I find that HR professionals are generally uh, more successful if they are assertive, if they are talkative, if they are good speakers. But their talking skills are confined to the corporate entities. Let us break down the data and estimation logic. Total skilled retiree pool is current estimates suggest that the stock of skilled pensioned retirees in India is approximately 10 million. When you look at the professional distribution, HR staff to employee ratios in India average between 1.3 to 1.7 per 100 employees. With that background, if you find out the annual flow, it's between 6 and 8 lakh professionals retire annually from the formal sector, which includes central, state governments, public sector units, and private entities, which means private companies and corporate world. The issue here is even if 1,000 retired HR professionals are active on an annual basis on social media, which is just an abysmal percentage, they will create huge impact. But that's not happening. The reasons are best known to the so-called retired HR professionals, though their sons, daughters, and sometimes even their grandchildren are suffering from the current system. Similarly, if you extrapolate this logic to the advocates, teachers, and professors, the journalists, and the young politicians. Let's stay with young politicians. Young politicians are easily finding it comfortable to fall into the trap of their fathers or the senior politicians because they found that it is easy to maneuver the political scenarios when we follow the seniors. In the process, they are depriving themselves of the unique opportunities they can create for themselves. And being a politician is actually a wonderful opportunity. But many politicians, especially the young politicians, chose to choose only the path which the senior politicians have taken. I am staying with my profession because I have seen several HR professionals very vocal, very they have got excellent oratory skills, and yet they chose to remain silent on the public fora. Why the change agents are silent? Are we the ancestors our children deserve? It is estimated that less than 1% of the approximately 1.5 million retired HR professionals are active on the public forum. The reason for this insignificant number include digital illiteracy and access barriers. Many retired HR professionals may not be having the of ease of using WhatsApp, Instagram, or LinkedIn. So they chose to remain silent. The another reason is the private consultant pivot, meaning public assertion is seen as a professional liability that could alienate potential corporate clients. Yes, this has happened to me, but I chose to become assertive because being assertive is being responsible. Fear of trolling and social isolation. Public forums in India have become highly polarized. Retirees who often value dignity and social peace avoid public criticism to escape organized online harassment or being labeled anti establishment. Shift to personal survival is another reason. Approximately 35.6% Indian seniors depend on government pensions and many others rely on fragile savings, which means around 65% people from the private industries rely on fragile savings. Financial insecurity and rising healthcare costs force retirees to focus on personal stability rather than national advocacy. Lack of structured platforms, awareness of government led engagement platforms is negligible. At just 3.3%, meaning the government themselves are not willing to leverage the huge potential hidden in the retirees. Family and social dynamics. As a family structure shift to nuclear setups, many retirees report that they will be facing some problem or other if they become engaged in a social discourse. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? The silence of the younger generation, Generation Z and millennials, amidst the 2026 energy crisis and geopolitical instability, is driven by a different, more modern set of cages than those of their retired counterparts, which is very interesting to note here. While they are the most impacted by inflation and job market volatility, they remain a club of silent sufferers due to the following structural and psychological reasons. Reason number one, the gig economy and employment precarity. Unlike previous generations with tenure, young professionals are often in contractual or gig based roles. Fear of digital footprints. HR departments now use AI driven background checks to screen social media for activism or opinionated behavior. For a young professional, one critical tweet against government policy or a company's energy stance can result in being shadow banned from future job opportunities. The debt trap, EMIs, and educational loans. The 2026 energy crisis has spiked interest rates to curb inflation. Most young management and tech professionals are tied to heavy EMIs, either for housing, car, or education. Assertion requires a cushion. When you are one paycheck away from defaulting, it questions compliance and survival. So, it does not find any space for constructive criticism. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? The another reason for the young generation to be silent is performance versus political activism. There is a shift from institutional criticism to lifestyle trends. Young people often channel their frustration into doom scrolling or quiet quitting rather than organized public assertion. The complexity of the US Iran war and global energy chains feels overwhelming, leading to learned helplessness. The belief that their voice cannot influence a global geopolitical machine. Algorithmic echo chambers and polarization. The digital space for the young is heavily curated. They get what they want. Fragmented discourses. Instead of unified national critic, young people are soiled into niche interests. The outrage fatigue. Constant exposure to global crisis, climate war, AI, job displacement, and even pandemics like COVID have led to a psychological state of numbness. Silence is often a defense mechanism against mental health burnout. Surveillance capitalism. With the increased use of biometrics and digital IDs for everything from transport to banking, there is a pervasive big brother feeling. Young people are hyper aware that their data is being tracked, making them far more cautious about dissent than the youth of the 1970s and 80s. I belong to the youth of 1980s. Lack of credible leadership. There is a massive trust deficit in traditional institutions, political parties, unions, mainstream media. Without a vehicle or a leader to consolidate their grievances, the youth remain a massive, unorganized group of individual sufferers. This is the real scope for development of youth, and we need to have very pragmatic and youthful political leaders and employee unions, especially the software employee unions, and pragmatic mainstream media, or at least a set of journalists who will be able to help create a forum for the young people to become very organized group of individual sufferers than remain as unorganized group of individual sufferers. Are we the ancestors our children deserve? Excellent rationale was presented so far in the previous slides as to why senior citizens or even the younger generation would like to remain silent. Shall we be happy with this rationale or continue to be passive? I know this is a very big question, cannot be answered just now. Let us wait for the third in the series. Thank you for listening to me.